All right, it's time to begin. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. Of course, I'm Dr. Doug Kelley. It's good to have everyone here with us in the live audience as well as in the broadcast audience. Appreciate you taking your time to join us tonight. And if you're listening or viewing the archive video, then thanks too for that. We're glad you're here. The International Church of Metaphysical Humanism has a number of different educational programs. This is one of them, the Spirit of Life Weekly Service. Our mission is to explore and empower the human condition, the human spirit, as well as to explore science and spirituality. That's the whole purpose. In addition to this weekly service, we also have several other programs, including metaphysicsinstitute.org, where you can get your bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degree in metaphysics. Paranexus.org is our Association of Anomalous Researchers. EmpoweredRecovery.com is for the family and friends of alcoholics and addicts to get help. And we also have standalone courses at ICHSworld.org, standalone metaphysical courses. So that's a little bit about us. Tonight on the program, I'm going to be talking on getting your message across, how to speak assertively. So we're going to go over some communication skills. And you might think, well, that's kind of an odd, basic subject, but there's nothing basic about it at all. It is absolutely crucial to anything you want to do. So we'll talk about that. And then we also have a returning guest speaker tonight, Dr. Norman Wilson. He will be talking on shamanism, what it's all about, and he'll be joining us via Skype from Washington State. And then, of course, at the end, after those two presentations, we'll do our guided meditation briefly, and then get into our Enspirit open forum, where we will, where you can share your impressions, thoughts, get oracle card readings, and so forth. I want to do an abbreviated, as I've been doing, principles of belief. We have them up here on the wall, of course, and they're on our website at metaphysicalhumanism.org. So I'll read through the abbreviated ones. The first one is number 1, which makes sense, huh? 1 is 1. It's not redundant, is it? Redundant. First one is do no harm, do right. Number 2, we believe in the indomitable power of the human spirit. The answers we seek already exist within us. Number 3, we believe that we alone are responsible for and capable of solving human social problems. Number 4, we are all equal. One planet, one race, one ancestry, one destiny. Number 5, we recognize and honor the divine energy that exists in all living things. Number 6, we are physical and spiritual beings. Consciousness survives death of the physical body. Number 7, self-acceptance, self-responsibility, and respect for free will creates self-completeness. Number 8, metaphysical education and practical life skills empower the human spirit and enhance the human condition. And number 9, expanding human consciousness leads to human evolution and peaceful coexistence. And again, for the complete principles of belief as well as some discussion on them, visit metaphysicalhumanism.org and then look on the navigation buttons and you'll find them. We've also got them in the video archives, which are available on that same website. All right, time to pick our theme card for tonight from the Inner Oracle card deck. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, these are simply self-discovery cards. They're not tarot cards, they are self-discovery cards. They basically get you thinking. So we're going to pick one at random, we're meaning me, and no, there's only one of me in here, as far as you know. All right, so I'm going to pick one, and it'll be our theme for tonight. So I'm going to do that. And it is card number 35, one planet, one race, one ancestry, one destiny, from our principles of belief. So we'll put that here, and then we'll pull some cards for those who would like that when we get to our open forum. Those are here for now. And I would be amiss if I did not mention that Dr. Vicki Hunter will be participating in our Enspirit forum tonight via Skype from British Columbia. All right, my part of the program tonight is getting your message across, how to speak assertively. There's actually a lot to assertiveness. A lot of people don't even know what it means. A lot of people think that when you're assertive, you're being aggressive, and that's not true at all. Assertiveness is not aggressiveness. Aggressiveness is aggressiveness. We'll talk about that in a moment. But when we speak, we obviously are using several different communication methods. One of them is our words, and another one is voice tone, the other one is body language. So let's talk about those three briefly. And this is more of the kind of the fundamental communication skills. The words that we choose. You know, of the three methods of communication, words may not carry as much punch. They can, but sometimes they don't. And in fact, if we are saying something with our words and demonstrating something else with body language, the body language is probably going to be a more powerful message. But let's talk about words. Words are obviously important. Perhaps you remember one of those lies that we were taught as kids. Remember how it goes? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. Names, words, same thing. You know, to a child who hasn't developed the emotional skills to deal with that stuff, it's a lie. I mean, it hurts even as adults, but at least as adults, we can deal with it. You know, we cannot give it any energy. But that shows how important our words are. So as we communicate, we want to make sure that our words are uplifting, upbuilding, that they are encouraging, keep our cool, that sort of thing. So that's words. Obviously, words are very important. Voice tone, another one. I mean, even our dogs know how we feel based on our voice tone, right? We can scream at them, "I love you," and they'll think they did something wrong because they're hearing that voice tone. Voice tone is a very powerful way we communicate. If you take the phrase, "The boy found a quarter on the sofa," just that simple phrase, "A boy found a quarter on the sofa," just pay attention to how many different things I can say with just those words by emphasizing different parts of it. The boy found a quarter on the sofa. It wasn't a girl, it wasn't an adult, it was the boy. The boy found a quarter on the sofa. It wasn't a nickel, it wasn't a dime, it was a quarter. The boy found a quarter on the sofa. It wasn't the chair or the floor, it was on the sofa. Maybe it was in the sofa, along with the rest of my riches, huh? How about the boy found a quarter on the sofa rather than he stole it? He found it on the sofa. So depending on which words we emphasize is what the message we communicate. So that's voice tone. So we want to make sure our voice tone is healthy. We want to make sure that we're not sending a double message with our voice tone. You know, you could say all kinds of things with voice tone. "My, don't you look pretty?" You know, what is that saying? Something's up, right? So that's voice tone. Body language, big one, powerful. You can say so many things with your body language. This means maybe I'm closed, right? So you're talking to me and I'm listening and I'm going like this. What is that? What message does that send? You know, talk to the hand because the face ain't listening. You know, I'm closed. But it can also mean I'm cold or I'm comfortable. So it depends on the context of the other two, the words and the voice tone. We do things all the time, you know, hi, gestures or some other colorful gestures that some people use. You know, one finger salute and all that kind of stuff. They get the message across, don't they? Lots of different messages that can be sent, like, "Now what did you do?" You know, again, a message is being sent. So we have to pay attention to our body language. Make sure that these three, that is words, voice tone, body language, are congruent, that they harmonize. So make sure the message you're sending is the one you want to send by paying attention to those three areas. Another big part of communication skills is simply listening skills. Have you ever known somebody who just can't talk much? Conversely, have you known somebody who just can't shut up? You know, those are two extremes, right? Well, the way that communication works is that we talk to somebody and they listen, or vice versa, and then we exchange roles. So now we listen and they talk, and there has to be a kind of an even distribution of that talking and listening. Somebody who listens too much is not a good communicator. Somebody who talks too much is not a good communicator. So it should be held in balance. Don't talk too much, don't listen too much. There are times that you listen more. There are times that you talk more. If you're training or teaching like I am, I'm talking more rather than listening, but I'm paying attention, and the roles are reversed. But it depends on the context as well. Some other things that will inhibit our listening skills is noise. Mechanical noise, maybe somebody's outside doing a jackhammer. I've had that happen. Been teaching seminars at a hotel, and they're out there building something, and it's just, it was hard to even hear me. So that's obviously a distraction. Another type of noise is mental noise. You can think a lot faster than I can talk. We all can. So there's lots of space, right, in your mind when I'm talking. You can process things a lot faster. So one of the things that we can fall into is prejudging what you think the person's going to say next. Don't do that. When you listen to somebody, give them your undivided attention. Don't get distracted. Another thing that conflicts with listening is interrupting. And closely related to that is finishing people's sentences. Have you ever had that happen? Where somebody just finishes every sentence and you can't complete it? Well, it's annoying and it's a little bit rude. So let people finish their sentences. And that reminds me, too, that some folks, the way they communicate, they're thinking as they're communicating. And they might be talking about something deep, something intense. Let them finish their thought before you say something. They might be thinking it through and it's coming a little bit at a time. Let them finish their thought before you jump in. And don't just jump in with what you were going to say. I'm not listening to you, I'm just thinking about what I want to say. Listen to what they say and don't interrupt. And that goes right along with disinterest. Disinterest, if I'm just not interested in what you're saying, well, that can be a big distraction. Try to pay attention to them. And if you're not interested in what they're saying, then politely excuse yourself. You have that right as an assertive person. Emotions can also conflict with our ability to listen. If we're emotionally charged, you don't want to have a discussion, a mature adult-like discussion with somebody who's emotionally charged, who's angry or upset over something. Let them cool down first. Then there's prejudice. If I have an issue with you and you're saying something, I'm not hearing anything, right? Because I have an issue with you. All I can think of is how I have an issue with you, whatever that may be. So those are some basic fundamental skills: voice, tone, words, body language. Keep them congruent. Make sure you send the message you want to send. Speak in the language of the people that you're talking to. In the South, if I said, wow, we got some haints in our house, well, you'll probably know what that is. But if you're from up north or some other part of the world, you may not know what I'm talking about. But if I said we got ghosts in our house, then you would, right? So haint is especially a southern expression for a ghost. So be mindful of the words you're using so that you're clear in what you say. Now let's talk about some different types of communication. One is aggressive. And here's how you tell the different ones apart. Aggressive. Their motto is, I win, you lose. If I'm aggressive, I win, you lose. What about passive? I lose, you win. Passive aggressive, similar to aggressive. I win, you lose at some point. Passive aggressive is going behind the person or around them. It's manipulative. Nice dress doesn't even make you look fat. That's a passive-aggressive statement because you're sending a whole different message. So passive-aggressive is I win, you lose at some point. Codependent is another communication style. I win if you win, and I won't win until you win because my whole world depends on you. So it's an unhealthy way as well. Now let's compare those with assertiveness. Assertiveness basically is four things. Assertiveness is direct, it is honest, it's empathetic, and it's win-win. I win, you win. So remember that. Assertiveness is direct, honest, empathetic, and win-win. Now, when I say direct, don't confuse that. Don't confuse somebody's directness with being aggressive. Remember, aggressive is I win, you lose. If I'm being direct, and sometimes I will be, but I'm not putting you down, I'm not denigrating you, I'm not belittling you, that's just directness. It's not aggressiveness. So if you tend to be abrupt or get easily agitated and say what's on your mind, temper that. Make sure that what you say is win-win. It can be direct. It can be honest. It should be empathetic. If you're saying something that somebody needs to improve on, make sure that you have the right to say that. As I've mentioned a zillion times, you cannot control people. You cannot change people. Stop trying. It is not your job to make people change. Now we're talking about adults. Can you share a concern with somebody? Sure. Just be careful not to cross the line. Respect for free will. Don't try to control people. So it may or may not be your job. Now if you're a manager at a business and you've got employees working for you, of course it's your job to help them with performance. But you can still make it win-win. Even if you point out what they could be doing better. Because you want to see them do better. I'm trying to help here, right? I want to point out these different things so that you can do better, and you'll be happier, and we'll be happier. Assertiveness is to a relationship what oil is to an engine. Think about that. Oil makes an engine run smooth, right? And keeps it lasting a long time. Assertiveness to a relationship is the same thing. So when you're in any kind of relationship, it can be an intimate relationship, a family type relationship, a partnership, a business relationship, a customer relationship. Bear that in mind. You got to be assertive. It's okay to say it as long as you have a win-win outcome in mind. Bear that in mind. It just makes it go so much better. Some things that will help you with assertiveness. Think before you speak. How many times have we heard that growing up? You know, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it. That's probably a good general rule, but that doesn't mean that you can't say something if it needs to be said. Just make sure you do no harm and do right. You know, don't try to control people. Speak clearly is another one. Don't mumble. And another one is to use word softeners. This will really help you to be assertive by using what they call word softeners. You know, like Calgon? No? Not going to buy that one? I wouldn't. Not true. I like the way that Zig Ziglar put it. He said, you know, there's a difference between saying someone looks like the beginning of a fresh new spring and saying that they look like the end of a long, hard winter, right? Same point in time, but it makes a big difference in how you couch those words. And I'll share some more examples of word softeners here shortly. Another way to be assertive is to keep other people informed that need to be informed. So if you're in a close relationship with somebody, got to communicate. I've said it a gazillion times too. That's probably not an exaggeration, actually. Lack of communication will kill any relationship, period. And I don't care what kind of relationship it is. So if you don't want the relationship to die, then you got to communicate. And if you do want the relationship to die, easy, stop communicating. And I mean face-to-face, telephone, texting, Facebook, psychically. You get the idea. Stop communicating. And if you do, the relationship will die because it can go nowhere else. That's just what happens. Another one, use I statements versus you statements. You did this, you did that. There's another gesture, right? Body language, pointing. Use I statements. And I'll give you some examples of I statements in just a sec here. Last point on this area is follow through on promises. Say what you mean what you say. So let's talk about some examples of word softeners. If you're delegating something in a business relationship, employee relationship, or to somebody, a child, whatever. How about this type of thing? Is there any way I can ask you to blank? Think about that. If you want a favor, is there any way I can ask a favor of you? Is there any way I can ask you to do this? And it's always important, just a side point here, whenever you ask a question, stop talking. More directly, shut up. And I mean, shut up. Whenever you ask a question that you want a response to, ask your question and shut up. Even if they don't say anything, you don't say anything. Nature abhors a vacuum. And if we ask a question to somebody, and we might hate to even ask it, but we ask it and they don't say anything, you know, we're starting to sweat bullets, right? And, oh, well, you know, if you can't do it, that's okay, blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. Give them a chance to respond, because that's just a respectful thing to do. You know, and it's really true. When you ask somebody a question, you shut up, and that means I'm going to respect you to wait for an answer. But so many of us, we get that 3 or 4 seconds of silence, which can seem like an eternity, and we get all flustered, and we have to fill in that blank, you know. Here's another one. It seems as though, you know, instead of, you know, you really botched that thing up. You really screwed that thing up. Instead of that, you know, it seems like that didn't quite go like you wanted, did it? That's a lot softer. It's a little more, and, you know, politically correct, if you will, or diplomatic is another term. When giving advice on a particular issue, and again, make sure you have the right to give the advice, may I suggest that, or you may want to do, or a suggestion might be. So those are some ways to put that. Here's an example in an employee relationship. You're a manager, you might say, you might want to leave a few minutes early in order to avoid traffic and arrive on time. Does that make sense? Notice how I put in a little question there? They're almost a tag on question. And that phrase, when you're saying something to somebody and you want to get some feedback, you ask that, does that make sense? Does that sound right? And then what do? You shut up and you let them say it. But these tag-on questions can come into play at times. For example, that one I just read, you know, you may want to leave a few minutes earlier in order to arrive at work on time. Will that work for you? That kind of thing makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, you keep looking at these questions to get the most out of them, it quickly becomes apparent that these tag-on questions can really help, doesn't it? Are you getting tired of my statements yet? You know, use a tag-on question. Does that make sense? You know, you're following it up. Now, don't do it too much because you'll annoy people and they might punch you. All right. How about apologizing? Apologize like this. You know, if I offended you, I apologize from the bottom of my heart. Is there anything I can do to make it up to you? And be sincere. It's not just words. When asking for a commitment, depends on who it is again, especially in business relationships or a child. You want your child to clean their room, something like that. Can I count on that? And what do? Yeah, shut up. Wait for the response. How about this, a child or an employee? Well, you know, I'll try. Well, I appreciate your willingness to try, but what I'm really looking for here is a firm commitment. Can I get that? And you shut up. Well, I'll try. Yeah, I heard that, but I'm looking for a commitment. Can I get that? When you don't understand something that somebody said, you know, I'm not sure I'm following you. Could you rephrase that for me? Those are all softened ways of saying that. You disagree with somebody on something and they're just not making sense, or they don't think you're making sense, or whatever the deal is. Can we just agree to disagree on that? Don't have to get upset. Don't have to agree with me, but can we agree to disagree on it? And that goes back to, you know, being disagreeable without being disagreeable. You know, you can disagree without being disagreeable, as the expression goes. The feel, felt, found is another one. I understand how you feel. Other people have felt the same way. However, when they looked into it a little deeper, they found Feel, felt, found. I understand how you feel. Others have felt that way. But then they found, and you can fill in the blanks. And here's a great I statement for when somebody does something that you don't like, or it's kind of maybe they've done something to you or something like that, whatever it is. When you blank, I feel blank, can I ask you to blank or not to blank? When you yell at me, I feel hurt. Can I ask you to not raise your voice at me again in the future? It's a question, so you shut up. I'll yell at you anytime I want. I understand that. But when you do, I feel hurt. Can I ask you to stop doing that? You look them in the eye and you shut up. I'll yell at you anytime I want. Fair enough. Because when you're assertive, you're not trying to change anybody, but you are trying to speak up for yourself. You're standing your ground. But if somebody's going to yell at you and they're not going to stop, then you have some decisions to make, don't you? Some relationship decisions to make. All right. Just a couple of points, then we're going to move on. A couple of quick points because I'm going to wrap this up. Somebody's talking around too much around here. You can't prove anything. Okay. The art of being human in a technological world. We have so much technology, and it's coming between a lot of us. Facebook, texting, all that stuff. Don't forget to be human, and don't forget that the person on the other side of that device is a human being, just like you. Don't forget that. And a lot of times people do. Well, I'm sending an email to this metaphysics school. They're not real people there. I just want an answer to my question. I get that sometimes, almost that way. Well, when you send an email, remember the etiquette. Hi, so-and-so, or hello, something like that, if you don't know their name. Then write your body of your email and thank them. I appreciate your response to this. Thank you very much. Or if you're answering an email, I hope this helps. Use a greeting, salutation. Use a closing. Put your name on it. I can't tell you how many emails I get from people. I'm very interested, or this doesn't work for me, can you check on it? And I have no clue who it is because they didn't put their name, or they just put their first name. And I have hundreds of students. So I don't know, I have to do a search now to find their email address and match it up with my records, and it makes more work. So unless you know they really know you, put both your names, your first and last name. Use a salutation. Make sure the body of your message sends the right message. The tone of it is good. And proof it, and use a closing. Also, if you're going to send an email to more than one person, do not use the CC field, carbon copy field. Use the BCC field, which is blind carbon copy. Again, I get people who are sending out an email to several people, and all of our email addresses are there, and I don't know who these other people are, and whether they'll protect my email. I already get too much spam. I get hundreds of them a day. Don't need any more. So send it BCC to the other people. A couple of other quick things. Don't write in all lowercase. If you're texting, I get it. Okay, but in emails, write properly, because that sends a big message about who you are too. That's a communication, a form of communication. Proof it, make sure it's spelled right. Use spell check. It's not that hard. Don't use all lowercase, don't use all uppercase. Write it properly. I just want to see if I missed any of the high points, and I don't think I did. So, there we go. So, you want to be an assertive communicator. Remember, assertiveness is direct, honest, empathetic, and it's win-win. Aggressive is I win, you lose. Passive is I lose, you win. Passive-aggressive is I win, you lose. Codependent is I win if you win. Assertiveness is I win, you win. So take some of these suggestions now and embrace them. Try them out. Use the word softeners. You ask a question, shut up. Let them answer. And see how that works with your relationships. They will bring us closer to one planet, huh? One race, one ancestry, one destiny. Just bringing the card back into it. Okay, let's move on to our next topic, our next section, and here's a general statement not directed at anyone in particular. While we are always interested in new and different perspectives, the views of our guest speakers do not necessarily represent the views of the International Church of Metaphysical Humanism. Now tonight we have with us returning guest speaker Dr. Norman Wilson. He has a doctorate in the humanities and holds the position of Professor Emeritus at Polk State College in Winter Haven, Florida. He is the author of a dozen books and over 300 articles published on the internet, ranging from Buddhism to education to shamanism. Dr. Wilson is a certified Reiki master and a member of the Foundation for Shamanic Studies. His website is shamanicmysteries.com. No, we don't have him. Okay.
I think it might be technical difficulties, but I'm having trouble getting online.
Okay, we're having some technical difficulties getting Dr. Wilson with us, so we'll work on that, and then we'll try to get him back on as soon as we can. So let's go ahead and go to the next part. Then we'll do our guided meditation. See, I could have kept talking anyway, huh? We'll do our guided meditation, then we'll get into our Enspirit forum and do the oracle cards. So, to start this, I'd like you to get comfortable, relax a little bit, close your eyes if you wish, or if you don't, pick a point straight across from you and focus on it, and take a deep breath. Deep breath in through your nose. Hold on to it to the mental count of 3, and just release it. And as you do, feel your body begin to relax. Feels good to relax. Another deep breath as you pay attention to the music and just let it move you along. And release it. And as you focus on the rhythm of your breathing, you understand that when you breathe in goodness, positive energy. When you breathe out stress. And you feel better as a result. Now, as you continue to relax, breathing normally and deeply, I want you to imagine a beautiful ball of light just above your head. See it right there above your head, and see its tentacles like little lightning bolts reaching out and connecting with everything that there is. This beautiful ball of vivid light is you, your higher self. It's who you are, the essence of your energy. And I want you to imagine, if you would, just drawing that energy ball, that ball of light, right down into the middle of your body, and just see it there, and begin to feel it nurturing you and revitalizing your body, making you feel less stressed. See it begin to fill you up from the tips of your toes to the top of your head, and everything it touches just feels better. Everything it touches is healed, and you feel empowered as a result. And you begin to realize that this beautiful ball of light that is you also can energize your entire spirit. And it feels so good to just relax. Take just a moment now and take just a little bit of that infinite power that you have and send out positive energy to those who need it the most. You can send positive energy to everyone. But if you know somebody who is ill, who is having a difficult time, send them a little energy. Now, as you continue to breathe, in just a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 3. I want you to see that beautiful ball of light take its normal place above your head whenever you want to. But as it leaves your body, it leaves you in such a great state, feeling so good, so revitalized. And 1, you're beginning to feel even better now, much more relaxed. 2, feeling like your spirit's just been through a beautiful mountain stream and just feeling so inspirited, if you will. And 3, eyes open wide, feeling much better, much more relaxed, and minds open, energy open, And now let's go ahead and do our Enspirit open forum. Now this is the part of the program where you can share impressions, stories of paying it forward, stories of doing the right thing, and we can also do inner oracle card readings, which means we will pull a card for you to ponder, to meditate on. Now, for those of you in our broadcast audience, if you're in the chat room and listening to this live, you're welcome to put your name in there, and we will get to your card. We also want to bring in Dr. Vicki Hunter, who is, of course, part of the ICMH Church and knows a thing or two about these things. So as soon as we get her online, we'll say hi to her, and she can help. So do we have, Tina, do we have anybody that, Jenny, okay, let's start with Jenny. Welcome, Jenny. She would like a card reading. I'm going to get the cards. Already shuffled them. I'm going to put our theme card, which is number 35. Hi, Dr. Hunter.
Hello, hello, good evening, everybody. So this
All
is
right.
for Jenny.
So, and by the way, and I'll announce it when I get to the announcements, but our inner oracle cards have come in to order, so we have them in stock here at the center as well as for those who want to order them online. So the card for Jenny then is right in the center area. It's number 30, Greatness to Deliver. Good card.
I love that card. Every human being is born with greatness to deliver. That's a really big thing at IMHS, by the way. Everybody has to write that down. When you get to the master's program, you're going to be talking about that. Greatness embodies unique self-actualization and self-completeness and does not settle for mediocrity. Greatness goes above and beyond what is common and aspires to nobility of character. Greatness is part of being part of the solution, not part of the problem. So remind yourself with the question, what do I need to reawaken in me in order to deliver my greatness? Remember, you are valued. Delivering your greatness is making a difference in the world. So I think for Jenny, this is just one of those moments of checking in with herself, and again, what do I need to reawaken me in order to deliver my greatness? I think it's very exciting. That's a very exciting one.
Everybody has greatness to deliver. Anybody here
Absolutely.
want a card pulled? Just raise your hand if you do. Who's next, Vicki? Dr. Vicki, Dr. Hunter? I don't call her Vicki in public, That's not true.
Well,
I
I'm
just did.
going over to the chat room. Maybe Michael sees something
Okay,
that
Tina,
I don't. I
Tina,
think.
Shirley? Okay, Shirley wants a card.
Nice to have Shirley back with us tonight. It's great.
All right, so we pull a card for Shirley. I'm trying to see where it's at. Making a big to-do out of this. It's all for show, right? Not really, though. I keep coming over here. It's this one. 12. It's Spirit, Cosmos, Divine Energy. It's in the existential suit.
Yes.
Spirit,
Drawing
Cosmos,
this card.
Divine Energy.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Drawing this card indicates the evolving relationship you have with your own inner spirit or higher self within the context of the greater universe. You are growing your relationship with the cosmic consciousness. Continue to observe and appreciate the interconnectedness of all life forms within the fabric of life and the important role that you and they play together. So this is really about your inner connection with yourself and the cosmos and how that's growing. So that would be a little message.
I would say that's
Shirley.
apropos.
That's a great one. While we're here just for a moment, I'll read aloud One Planet, One Race, One Ancestry, and One Destiny,
Okay.
which is our theme. And again, we're going to that divine energy lives in all things. Diversity in nature and among humanity is not an evolutionary mistake. It's an evolutionary constant. This card advocates equality, peace, unity, healthy life skills, which is what we're talking about here tonight, obviously, higher consciousness and spiritual enlightenment. It is critical for our spiritual evolution that we display tolerance and equality toward others as well as ourself, and we can't forget the self. Remember, you are of divine energy. We're all star stuff.
Good.
I added that last little bit.
All right. Very good. So we have one more in the chat.
Okay.
All right, Gwen is the person that we
Gwen.
need to pull for. All right. The card is number 28. Do no harm, do right. Interesting how these cards come up. Do no harm, do right. It's good advice for everyone.
Wow.
And
Do no
she's
harm, do
reading
right
from this
is
guidebook, by the way, that comes with the cards. Yeah.
fabulous
ahead.
little book. Do no harm, do right is the most powerful principle to live by. Doing no harm includes words and actions to the self and others, but doing right means to also take a positive action where there's a need without infringing on the free will or the rights of others. Always strive for the highest good for all concerned, including yourself. Do no harm and do right establish the foundation for all other principles. So we can think sometimes that we're doing no harm by not saying anything, but maybe it's the right thing to say something, or because you're speaking on your own behalf. So it's synchronistic, the do no harm, do right. So I'm thinking that there's a little message for Gwen in that do the right thing to the best of your ability without harm, but sometimes standing up for yourself can feel harmful to others, but you're speaking on your own behalf. So
Assertively.
everything that was certainly what Dr. Kelley was talking about at the very beginning of the show, that in this broadcast, it really does resonate, I think, with this card for Gwen.
All right. We're going to do one more card because of time. It's for Phyllis.
Ah, picking her own card. That's awesome.
She's here. You can look at it if you want.
Nice to see you again, Phyllis.
Hi, Vicky.
The card is wild card number 1, which is Paradox. She's a wild card. Fits.
Well, a truth can be found in seemingly contradictory ideas. This is a really fabulous card, by the way. We have not read this one aloud.
You know, I don't think we have.
In all,
That's the
in
first
all our
time it's been
broadcast
drawn
shows.
here.
So it's really powerful. What may seem like a false proposition can be a set of new ideas and a way of thinking. Your solution may lay in the opposite direction than you think. Keep in mind that the cosmos works in equals and opposites. Not all truths lay in common opinions. This may be a time for contrarian thinking and opening your mind to what may not make sense at first, and thus the new perspectives are discovered. So sometimes we have to go in a completely new way of our thinking, or to tackle something in a manner that wouldn't ordinarily be for us. So because there's this paradox always going on all the time. So I think Phyllis is nodding her head a little bit. You know, maybe she's thinking about that. So that's a good thing. I know our broadcast audience doesn't have that benefit, but anyway, that's a good message there for Phyllis.
That goes also in line with the 180 principle that we teach in our degree program about solving problems. You know, look at the other, flip it, 180 degrees, and
Yeah.
there might be some truth somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Okay, you go ahead. No problem. Let me take care of some announcements. We have that will conclude our Enspirit. We're going to try to get. We got Dr. Wilson. Do we, Michael?
I have to end.
Yeah. So we're going to go switch to Dr. Wilson and bring him. Thank you, Vicki. Talk to you soon.
See you next week.
Okay. So I'm going to go over announcements. I just wanted to make sure we have him. He's available. So otherwise I kept doing that. All right, announcements. OnePlanetCommunity.com is our private Facebook-like network. If you're a member of Metaphysical Humanistic Church here, you can join it. If you're one of our students, you can also join. There's no cost to it. I'd like to thank those who have donated to the ICMHS Church. Appreciate your donations. As I mentioned, inner oracle cards are now available. They're back in stock. We also have, for our students, we have our online annual ceremony, graduation ceremony, coming up on May 2nd. It's the first Saturday in May. It's at 9 p.m. UTC, or Greenwich Mean Time. It's 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're a student and you want to participate in this optional online graduation ceremony along with friends and family, you can do that, but you got to register. So go to the Student Center at IMHS. You'll see the countdown timer there, and look at the information, click on the link, and complete the registration form to do that. You have to register if you want to participate in it, because we won't read your name if you haven't registered, even though you may have graduated. Again, it's optional. The ceremony this year will be handled right from here, so we'll use the video broadcast to do it. Both Dr. Hunter and I will give a short talk, and then we'll read names. But the students, of course, won't be on the video broadcast, but we will hear from you in the chat room there. So that's that. Next week's topics, program topics. My presentation will be how to identify and avoid cults. Plus, we have Dr. Vicki Hunter. She'll be doing the topic, what is metaphysical parenting, from her own writings and work. And then, of course, we'll have our Enspirit Open Forum. So that's coming up next week. Hope you can join us. Now, we have Dr. Norman Wilson with us, who is here, as I already read his bio, which was a good one, of course. And he's speaking to us via Skype from Washington State. His topic is Shamanism, what it's all about. Welcome, Dr. Norman.
Thank you very much, Doug. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. It's one of those things. I would like to begin by saying what shamanism is not. First of all, it is not a religion. And second, it is not a cult. It's not a religion because it does not have a body of procedure for the adulation of a divinity. It does not have a dogma that has to be followed. It doesn't have a priesthood, and it doesn't have a holy book. As a cult, it doesn't have a local, national, or international leadership. So it's not a cult either. So then what is shamanism or a shaman? Simply put, it's healing, making better. And that's pretty nice. So then if a shaman is a healer, what does he or she do to help a patient? There are several things that a shaman does, and we'll talk about those in just a moment. The word shaman and shamanism comes to us from various sources. Some say that it comes from the Tongass in Siberia. Others tell us that it comes from China, some Mongolia. Some believe it comes from the ancient Sanskrit of India. Whatever its source, it has been a popular term in Western language since the 1600s. So it's been with us for quite a while. I mentioned that it can be a man or a woman. There is no restriction there on that. So what does a shaman do? And how does he do it? First of all, I think before I get into that, I should mention the fact that there are a few areas that are true of all shamanic groups around the world. First of all shamans believe that all things are alive. And that's pretty nice. And they also believe that those things should be respected. I think respect is a good word for today's world. They also believe that the world, the universe, the cosmos, is made up of seen and unseen forces. They also believe that there is a direct connection between the spiritual world and healing. That's pretty nice. Very nice, in fact. Stop and think about that just for a moment. Modern religions pray to their gods, whomever they call them, to help a sick person. They have laying on of hands. Shamanism is older than any religion. We know it at least 40,000 years old. So that's pretty good record. And if they were so far wrong, so far off the beaten track, you and I wouldn't be here today, would we? No, we would not. So what does a shaman do? He has several tools available to him to help his patients. Among those are the use of herbs and herbals. I make the distinction between those two words this way. Herbs are anything you can eat. Herbals are those parts of the plant that are used to make poultices, salves, ointments, that kind of thing. The herbs are used for soups, other foods, that kind of thing. A shaman also has crystals and stones that he or she can use to help heal his patient. Crystals come out of the earth. And I said before, man is of the earth. He also has sound. And the sound may be created by drum, flute, rattles, or the human voice. And then there's the dance. A shaman may dance around his patient. And there is a reason for that, just as he may use sound. That's to change the vibrational direction in the human body. We know that all things vibrate. And I mentioned that in my last appearance here. So those are some of the tools that the shaman has at his disposal to help his patient. There is one other thing, and this is the one that most folks are interested in, and that is journeying to another realm, traveling to another dimension, if you will. What does a shaman do to get there? In some of the cultures of South America, for example, a shaman will use hallucinogenic drugs. And I want to just digress for a moment, if you will. I'm very much opposed to that. And there is a reason. If you're hallucinating, you're not aware, you're not in control of what's going on. If you have traveled to one of the three realms, you need to know what's going on if you're going to get the answer to your question to help your patient. You can't be floating around in la-la land. And the second reason I'm opposed to these particular drugs is that often they have devastating, horrific effects. Death. A lot of young people are traveling to South America to try some of these, and last September we had a young man, 22 years old, was killed by it. So I'm opposed to that. If we listen to Michael Harner, who is the grandfather of shamanic healing in the Western world since the 20th century, drumming is the most popular and accepted use for traveling to another dimension. How does the shaman do that? Drumming changes the beta, theta, and alpha rays of the brain. When that happens, the shaman changes or alters his state of consciousness. When that has arrived, he then travels to one of three realms. We have the upper, the middle, and the lower. And please, don't equate those with a religious concept of heaven, purgatory, and hell. They are not the same. Once he is in a trance state and has moved to a realm of his choice, looking for an answer to his question. Notice, please, I said a question. A shaman doesn't travel to another realm with a whole shopping list of things that he wants done by the spirit world. I would just laugh at him. He goes with a very specific reason. And in this case, I'm talking about is to help a person who is ill. Sometimes a shaman will have a helper, a spirit animal My spirit animal happens to be the bald eagle. He may also have the spirit of a human being travel with him to another realm to help find the answer. Now, in addition to going to these realms to find answers to helping his patient, are there other reasons for a shaman going to another realm? And yes, there are. In the old days, a shaman would go there to find out if it's a good time to move the tribe, to go to a new hunting ground. And he may go there today to find out if a new project that one is about to launch upon is a good idea. Seeks advice. And this one is a biggie. He may go there to retrieve a soul. And I talked about the soul when I was here last. A soul may be lost, and therefore the person is ill from that loss. A part of a person's soul may be stolen, or it may be kept by a loved one who didn't want to let go. And this is not demeaning to mothers. A mother may not want her child to grow up and go off and have a life of their own, so she may cling to a part of his or her soul to keep it closer, not realizing that she may be doing damage. When the mission is to go and retrieve a soul or a parcel of a soul, this is very, very dangerous for the shaman. He has to negotiate. He or she has to barter for the release of that soul or the part of that soul. When that becomes possible, the shaman will return from his altered state of consciousness to the current world and then literally, physically, blow that soul or part of that soul back into his patient. He leans over them, leans to the head, and blows into the person's head. This is very serious business for the shaman. I suppose in some cases this may be called modern psychology or a modern psychiatrist to do that with the person. I think that one of the things that we need to understand that when we move into one of the three realms, the upper one, that's generally the one where the spirit teachers live. The middle realm is the one that's almost within our own dimension right now, our own time frame. Maybe it's the one that our ghosts that Dr. Kelley mentioned a while ago come floating in, and you may very well sense their being there. And then the third realm is sometimes called the lower realm. And here we have animal spirits as well as human spirits. And it is, admittedly, on the dark side. Okay? But still, those spirits there will help if the question is asked properly and with respect. There are techniques and ways for you to travel to the other world. I will not attempt to teach you that, even though I can, because some of you may be getting in your automobiles, and it's not a good thing to be driving once you've had your state of conscious altered. I think that I would like to conclude by saying to you this, that shamanism is offering an alternative medicine for the modern world, and a lot of people are looking for those alternatives. So many of the drugs that are on the market today to help us are really poisoning our bodies. Germany, for example, has 70% of their medications now based plant-based. This country has only 15%. It used to have 35%. That's changing. The shaman offers natural remedies for healing, not in opposition to your regular medical doctor by any means. I tell my doctor I go and have a Reiki treatment. They say, that's wonderful. Okay, so you need to look at that. And I want to thank you for the time this evening, and I do apologize for the technical difficulty. As Dr. Kelley knows, he was up with me till midnight last night trying to get this worked out. Dr. Kelley, thank you so very much.
Dr. Wilson, thank you. Very informative presentation. As always, let's give him a hand. And you can hear all the other applause going on out in Cyberland, huh? Anyway, thank you very much. Be sure to visit his website at shamanicmysteries.com. His book by the same name, What is Shamanism, What It's All About, is available there and on Amazon. But we look forward to having you again sometime if you will so honor us with your presence, and I wish you and your wife a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And that wraps up our program for tonight. Again, next week I'll be talking on how to identify and avoid cults. Dr. Hunter will be talking on what is metaphysical parenting, and we look forward to having you back then. And before we conclude, I'd like to thank Dr. Wilson again for being with us. I'd like to thank Dr. Vicki Hunter for helping with the Enspirit Forum. Thanks to Michael Kelley for engineering the broadcast, Tina Balderrama for moderating the chat room, and I thank all of you, everyone that attended this, for being a part of it. It means a lot, and we appreciate your support. Until next time, listen, think, learn, grow, and live. Good night.